Welcome to the 141st edition of Spooky Reviews from Spooky Ventures. This time around, we're looking at a Blu-ray release of a film called Crocodile. This is a movie that was made in Thailand. It was released in different years, depending on the country and the version. Those years range from 1980 to 1981. This movie was obviously intended to channel Jaws. The parallels are so obvious that the opening music actually calls to mind that soundtrack. And when they go out to sea trying to kill the monster, I had to say out loud, you're going to need a bigger boat. It is also basically a kaiju film. The premise is that atomic testing has created a massive giant crocodile that is hunting people, taking out whole villages at a time. The movie has a lot of that Japanese kaiju vibe. You know, the whole, this movie is cheesy and a little odd, but that's a charm thing to it. The story is somehow a little hard to follow, or sometimes a little hard to follow, but it's not really that bad. There were also some moments of filmmaking that I thought were beautiful. I'm talking unique perspectives and camera angles, that kind of thing. The movie also has some very graphic violence. I'll address some of that specifically in a moment. But in general, the blood and gore level of this movie is a lot higher than you might expect from a film of its time. Now, time has not been overly kind to the print of this. There are definitely some issues with the soundtrack, but those are prominent enough to be impossible to miss, but not so out front to take away from the enjoyment of the movie. I mentioned that I would talk specifically about some of the content later. Well, there is some troubling real violence against animals in this film. Only a small part of it remains in the main movie, but they literally cut a crocodile to death in the making of the film. One of the deleted extended scenes on the disc includes that footage, but I couldn't watch it. Just the short part that remains in the movie bothered me. I can take all the fake violence you want to put into a movie, but when you get into the real stuff, I'm really not interested. Perhaps even worse is that the scene in which it's used is basically just a throwaway atmosphere kind of thing. It was literally unnecessary to the plot of the movie. There are some other questionable moments in the film that I chalked up to different culture, different time. They aren't as troubling as that senseless animal violence. Here's the thing though, for all the warts and issues I have with the movie, it's still a good film. Or at least my wife and I thought that it was still a good film. We really enjoyed it. When you come into horror movies, and particularly dubbed kaiju films, there are certain quality expectations. I mean, I don't think anyone sits down to one of these films expecting the quality to be on a par with a big budget monster movie of the time. They managed to keep the viewer engaged and have some pretty good scares. That's really what it's all about. This Blu-ray includes audio commentary, the deleted alternate scenes I mentioned, and some other things for bonus features. The movie itself is the main course, though, and it definitely delivers. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.